Hello my kings, queens, and fellow non-binary leaders, and welcome back to Nerdy Nakama. Today we've returned to The Fox's Bride. This is part 4. We're getting closer to the end of season 2. I'm so excited. Of course, eventually there will be a supercut with bonus material. Of course, can't go without it. I really hope you enjoyed this series as much as I do, and now, let's go. Suna woke up startled, almost frantic. His dreams were haunted by the images of arrows and blood, deeply ingrained with the scent of Komori's distress. It didn't help that when he gasped for air, it was laced with similar anxious pheromones, placing him right back in the chasms of his memories. He tried to get up, ignorant of the pain radiating from the injury at his side. It wouldn't stop him. He swore to let nothing come between him and his mates. Two strong hands pressed down on his shoulders and forced him back against the futon until his head hit the pillow again. In his disorientation he growled, his fangs sharpening and claws growing to defend against whoever dared hold him down. He was about to bury his teeth into the person's flesh when suddenly their wrist was presented to him as if they begged to be bitten. However, the effect was quite another. The warm scent of home emanating from the sand gland near his pulse point identified Osamu and placated him. Samu. Yes, sweetheart, it's just me. He groaned at the nickname, but his heart lightened a little. If Osamu could joke, his situation couldn't be too dire, though the exhaustion plaguing him was intense. He took an experimental breath, suddenly grounded in his surroundings. Slowly, his senses came to, and he recognized the scent of their home. In the darkness, the shapes were hard to identify until suddenly a flickering light ignited next to him. The kitsune bee on Osamu's tails lit the room in a warm glow and made one thing abundantly clear, much to Suna's horror. Komori wasn't with them. His chest tightened and he tried to get up once more, but in vain. Osamu remained firm in holding him in place. The dark-haired hissed as he accidentally pulled tension on the injury, making Osamu only more firm in his resolve. Motea, where is he? Osamu avoided his gaze. Technically, he didn't need him to confirm it verbally to know what he feared must have occurred. His scent, heavy with worry and grief, was evidence enough. I don't know. We searched for him. Kira said out with some trackers. Atsumu's with him, but so far no luck. Suna's heart seemed to twist in his chest, and he felt tears prickling in his eyes in response to his words. Osamu's gaze appeared empty as he said it. However, when he noticed the tears, he leaned down gently to wipe them away. It'll be okay. Toyo's strong. Whatever happened, he isn't so easily defeated. Suna tried to take in a deep breath, but it hurt, and he couldn't decipher whether that stemmed from his injury or the involuntary absence of their mate. He leaned into Osamu's touch. His mate tried to provide him with calming pheromones, but his worry bled into his scent. Samu, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I couldn't protect a mate and cub. Hey, none of that. You did protect them. You protected them so well. You put your own life on the line to keep them safe. The hunters didn't get to them, thanks to you. They are still alive, just lost. I know it. His hand subconsciously traced a mark on Suna's neck just above the one he had left there, which the dark-haired shared with Komori. His eyes were filled with grief, but he hadn't given up yet. Our bond is strong. We would know if something worse happened. Suna gulped, but nodded shakily. He tried to move again, but Samu wouldn't let him, and instead settled his head on Suna's chest, as he saw that he yearned for closeness. He needed to be close to him. While Osamu reveled in the sound of Suna's steadily beating heart, his mate slowly allowed his warmth to soothe him, and assure that he hadn't failed them. I almost returned to the earth myself when I saw Kira carry you home. I was scared it was already too late. You were unconscious, but from afar, I don't know what I would have done if I'd lost you. A whimper resonated in Suna's throat. His hand was shaking as he slowly buried it in Osamu's hair. He attempted to soothe him as he sensed how sour the silver-haired scent had gotten, how honest his fear for his life was. I'm still here. I won't leave. His mate nodded slowly, but Suna felt his clothes growing damp where his head rested on his chest, and his tears fell onto the yokata. They remained like this, mourning and praying silently to the Patreon that she'd watch over him while they failed to. Just as Suna felt his consciousness beginning to drift away again, the door opened quietly. Osamu's head snapped up before he lowered it again in respect. Yet he didn't give up his position by Suna's side. The dark-haired was still prohibited from moving, glanced to the side and spotted Kita as he moved to kneel beside them. Any news? The older fox sighed and shook his head. His ears had flattened slightly and his scent exposed remorse. I'm afraid no. We searched the surrounding forest tirelessly, but found no trace of either his scent and, even more oddly, his chi. There was no hint of his soul existing anywhere nearby. Osamu's ears perked up and he tensed, as did Suna. He didn't like the sound of that at all. What does that mean? I don't know, but it feels like he has left this realm. Even our best can't sense a shred of his energy. Suna paled. He felt suddenly nauseous. His heart picked up pace and only Osamu's weight on his chest kept him from leaping into action. You mean, has he passed over? He clenched his teeth, his hands shaking. He couldn't have. Komori couldn't have moved on to the afterlife. He couldn't. They needed him here. Didn't they say he was just lost? That he'd know if... I won't deny that it might be a possibility, but it's strange. If it was just his soul, we should be able to find the body or remains, but nothing could be located. What? I don't understand. It means there's hope, and we won't be giving up. Your mate might very well still be out there, and we will continue searching. Focus on healing for now. You can join us in the search once your wounds have sufficiently closed. He excused himself and got up, yet hesitated as he reached the door frame. I'm sorry that I couldn't bring better news. I sincerely wished I could have returned with your mate. Thank you, Kira-sama. We appreciate your efforts. Suna did his best to nod in agreement. His throat felt too tight to speak. Komori yawned as he stirred awake. He sat up surprised as he felt the weight of a blanket fall from his shoulders. The shrine was still filled with the same serene atmosphere, but the candles had been extinguished. Instead of the warm fire, the shrine was filled with daylight. The front door and windows had been opened wide, inviting a fresh breeze as the late summer sun filtered through the forest outside. Komori got up slowly, his stomach getting in the way a bit as he tried to stretch and regain orientation. He folded the blanket and placed it carefully on one of the shelves before turning to the offering table again. On it lay a small stack of clothes with a bundle on top and a piece of wood that read, "A gift from a goddess." In light of yesterday's conversation, he wasn't 100% convinced to be real. He reached for it. The clothes turned out to be his old kimono, cleaned and fixed where it had torn. The masterful stitching of Kira-sama blended beautifully with the divine embroidery, fixing its blemishes, as though there had been none to begin with. For a moment he still marveled at the craftsmanship and gift that had been returned to him before swiftly changing into it, leaving the kimono he had slept in carefully folded next to the blanket. The bundle was filled with rice crackers, tea, as well as a small blanket and a small pot of the same herbal medicine she had prepared for him yesterday, from what he could tell at first glance. He took a rice cracker between his teeth before turning to the entrance. There was no time to waste. He needed to assure himself that Rin was fine. However, at the threshold he paused. He turned back and lit 3 incense, placing them in the offering bowl gently before clapping his hands together and bowing before it. He thanked Inari for her blessings in his own name and that of his mates. Then he turned to leave. For just a second, he thought to catch a glimpse of the shrine priestess' uniform in his peripheral vision, but when he turned around, both she and the shrine were gone. He blinked, perplexed. His brain wasn't quite capable of processing what had just happened, but the weight in his hand where he carried the bundle proved that it did. He shook his head, trying to clear himself of the confusion when the clacking of a beak caught his attention. In the branches above him, he found the Yatagarazu, cocking its head to the side and observing him curiously. It cawed and clacked its beak as though trying to gather his attention. Komori smiled. He bowed his head to the creature. Thank you for showing me the way. It puffed out its chest in a proud gesture before flapping its wings, animating him to follow. This time, the crow-like being leapt into the air at a leisurely pace and speed, as Komori, despite his condition, began to run. He couldn't let them wait any longer. During bright daylight, it was much easier to follow the dark-feathered creature. Its midnight black form created a stark contrast to the bright blue sky and warmly illuminated leaves. Tilting his head to the sky also showed him that he had slept much longer than intended. The sun hung low on the horizon, and its yellow hues slowly morphed into gold and orange. He sped up, uncaring how his lungs ached. The longing for his mates compelled him forward, when suddenly, much sooner than expected, he stumbled through the tree line onto a clearing. Their clearing. The first houses of the villages appeared before him out of nowhere, and the rice fields reached out beyond. He hadn't recognized any of the forest up until this point, and as he looked back, similar to the shrine, it seemed to change and fade. His head spun a little at the thought, but he couldn't focus on that yet. He had meant to bow to the Yatagarazu again, but it was gone too. Disoriented, he turned back around when suddenly a very familiar voice rose above the rest. Nothing. Please, let me help searching. Maybe I'll be able to sense him. We share mate-bound, As I said before, he's not in the woods. There's no trace of his chi. Komori couldn't watch the scene any longer. Osamu was crying. His head hung low as he pleaded with the others. His ears were pressed flat against his head. The Omega leapt forward. Osamu! Thank you so much for watching to the end. I really hope that you liked it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you did. And yeah, tell me what you thought of this part. There's only one more to go. And then we finish the second season. Oh my god, I can't believe we're already at this point. I'm sorry if there are any background noises. As I mentioned before, I have like this thing there that keeps me alive by giving me air from the outside. So I'll move soon, and then that problem is probably fixed. And yeah, special thanks as always goes out to my Neckos. They are the absolute best. They get this video about a week early, and if you're interested in getting early access to stuff, check out the link in the description or the join button. Yes, check that out if you like. You also get occasional, very rare, member exclusive videos, so I mean, just check it out. And yeah, tell me your favorite quote in the pin comment. Here's more content, and I hope you have a wonderful amazing day. Bye, everyone.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.